So I'm Amanda. Qais, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, and I'm Qais. Me and Amanda, we work together collaboratively on the work we're gonna talk about now. That it's titled أهل المدينة شرفاء العين, which is in Arabic a translation for um, um, let's go maybe a little bit back with the subject matter and talk about our interest in the Shriners.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Qais and I came to this collaboration, both separately being invited to be a part of the show at 6018, and then kind of discovering this building and who the Shriners are together from different kind of points of entry with our familiarity with the Shriners. So the Shriners are kind of like a subgroup within Freemasonry. So all Shriners are Freemasons, not all Freemasons are Shriners, and they are a particular sect of Freemasons that take on Arab aesthetics and Islam purely for the point and purpose of pageantry and aesthetics. And this building in downtown Chicago, which we'll talk about as we talk about the material in our work, has mistranslated and misspelled Arabic, creating this bawaba or gate as it imitates a mosque, framing the building. And yeah, do you want to jump in?
As we see in the image here, it's Amanda taking a mold from the Medina Temple, which is the Medina Temple in downtown, that it was a circus, and now it's functions and Bloomingdale's for furniture. So literally we were very interested in, as Amanda mentioned, the mistranslation for the Arabic writing on the gate, the mispresentation, I would say, that produced by the Shriners, whom appropriated Arab and Islamic words, characters, props, tropes, and architecture for their secret society rituals. Their other names, just very briefly for who might be familiar or not familiar with the Shriners, they have a longer term, which is the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine. And yeah, they are an elite group of the Freemasonry. So we were very interested in this building and being like, how far it is from the cultural center. I would say like maybe 5-7 minutes walk. No, a little bit, 10 minutes walk.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
In downtown, which is this building that for me, I'm not familiar with these buildings, but for an Arab or any person would, I had this assumption that it's actually, it's an Arab or like a mosque, literally, and it's actually not, and they are not Muslims, they are not Arabs, and it's an old-fashioned Orientalism, an obsession with the Middle East. So yeah, what you were doing here, Amanda, at this moment, the picture.
Yeah, so we're taking a silicone mold of the building to later recreate the tiles in cement, which I will get to pictures of that in a minute, I'm sure, but our intention is to kind of deconstruct this arch, thinking about how the repetition of the pattern really becomes distractingly beautiful on their building, and the way Islamic geometry gets again kind of misrepresented, and it's
yeah,
just like precisely kind of executed. Do you want to chime in?
Yeah, so it's like reading that sentence which was written there, that it I assumed that it says La ilaha illallah in Arabic, as I read Arabic, but it's not. It says another sentence, and it feels like it has this Quranic typography or like calligraphy kind of presentation for it, but it's actually mistranslated for the sentence that it's saying. We can talk about those details in Q&A for anyone interested, but literally we were very interested in disrupting the faux repeated tile pattern on the gate to become counted in piles, literally disrupting the pattern in its beauty. So here we look at the installation at the cultural center of casting the tiles, repeating that mold we took in using cement. Not only the Arabic writing, but also we casted the geometry in the tiles, the square ones. We see them on the left. Right? I'm so bad with the left, with the right one looking at the screen on the left. So that's everything on the floor, but also the theatrical aspect, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so as we've kind of mentioned, this building, which is now Bloomingdale's, at one point was an auditorium for the Shriners. After it was the auditorium, it was a theater for plays, music, concerts, also the circus. It was actually still the Shriner Circus when it was taking place. And they had this massive, beautiful velvet, like almost like liquid gold theater curtain that framed the stage. And here at the Cultural Center, we've kind of thought about quite literally taking the valance that frames the stage and removing it from its literal support structure, but also the context and kind of logic of that building. And to remove it from that, bring it into the Cultural Center, and almost like chopping up the valance that runs across the stage. Yeah, and I think I like the tiles, the similarity in like the way that the tiles are, their strategy and the curtains is to remove it from the logic of that building, that almost
the logic of viewing it, right?
Yeah.
Like the logic of viewing the tiles in this way to become piled on top of each other. The same thing with the horizontality of the curtain to become
vertical.
To bring this
absolutely.
reality of it. Yeah.
Right, but even like conceptually, like the moment that you step into the Medina Temple, especially even today as the Bloomingdale's, they're presenting these historical display cases of the history of the Shriners, and just the presentation of how they present themselves encourages you to like believe in them, or to kind of give them a sort of trust. But I think to put them in the context of this show, we can unpack like the content of what these curtains are doing, what these tiles are doing.
Yeah. So the circus is also, for us, we were interested in the Shriners, and they represent themselves as clowns. So the idea of being clown and parades, creating parades of riding small Persian carpets, seeing old white men riding small Persian carpets. So this idea of what is a clown and what is funny for some culture became an obsession for us to deconstruct what is the joke for someone, what is the cartoonish character to specific culture in its stereotypes, obviously. These are views from the same installation in its first iteration at 6018, where it was dealing with the architecture of that place. And it was interesting because that place had kind of these tiles that they are removing and not fully removed. In the previous kitchen was in that room. So it was interesting that we are also dealing with tiles.
Yeah, something I even kind of thinking of just now as I'm looking at these pictures coming of Cultural Center and now 6018 North. I'm just kind of thinking about how we took this mold from downtown and brought it to 6018 North and actually cast the tiles in the backyard of 6018 North. At the time, I didn't have a studio, and so I really worked that summer at 6018 North making this work. And there's something about kind of deconstructing that building and then producing its material in Rogers Park or Edgewater. You're kind of like right on the Rogers Park Edgewater line, and then now taking it back downtown is really interesting to me about how it moves in Chicago.
Yeah, the curtains there, as seeing here, the curtains also went down from the second floor where we were installing the installation, going down to the first floor. So it's literally like having this height of the theatrical curtains to the domestic place. And for me, it's like it has this metaphor for how the staging representation is affecting that domesticity, is that the word? Affecting the house and affecting this domestic architecture to some degree. It feels really great to see that both iterations right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Such a fun night taking that mold too.
I'm curious if anyone of like people with us familiar with the Shriners, and because yeah, we can talk about that, but I'm interested in what people knows, and they are like for sure who knows about the Shriners. They usually know that they have hospitals, they help kids, and that's really appreciated and really great to think of that. But also I'm interested in how to entertain kids. What is the funny character and what is that dark side is literally in the heart of this project.